Hi, my name is Jesse Brigham. Welcome to another segment of renovating my home. Today what we're doing is LVP flooring, luxury vinyl plank. The brand that we're using today is a brand called Pergo. This stuff is roughly $3 a square foot. So it's not your high-end upper stuff, but it's your middle grade. This stuff's going in pretty nice so far. I'm enjoying it. We elected to do another layer of underlayment underneath of it. There's a lot of undulations in the floor. We did do some self-leveler in some areas, but I've just learned that I like doing it this way. It does come with a rubber backing on the backside, but this just gives another mill for soundproofing and whatnot and going over any bumps that need to happen. But what we did, for anybody that's kind of learning, we snapped reference lines throughout the house. We're running the floor the long way, so we'll have to step backwards in a few rooms. It's a lot easier to say if we started at the door and worked this way, it'd be a lot easier. We wouldn't have to work backwards in any direction, but we elected to go the long way because it gives the appearance that the house is longer. So we're still trying to make this space feel as big as possible. So what we did was we snapped a reference line, pulling off all three walls. It's kind of faded a little bit, but if you see right here, we got a green line running through the whole house, kind of giving us a reference point to be able to pull off of. So that's one tip. How we decided to go with a full piece on this end as we measured the total width of the entire house and divided it by how wide the planks are. And we came out to, I don't know, say 20.9 pieces. So that lets me know that we're going to end with 0.9 of a piece. So that's good enough for me. We end up with a cut down there and we're not ending up with a sliver. Another good trick is, so you don't end up with a little short piece down at the end, you measure the total length this way. So from that wall to that wall, divide it by the length of the piece, and we came out with 5.23. So that lets us know if we start with a full piece, we're ending with 0.23 of a piece. So again, that's a cut, but that lets us know for the next one that we need to stay away from 0.23 of a piece, which for us was 13 inches. I like to stay 6 inches away from that. So we're actually staying away from anything from 7 to 19 inches. So we don't end up with a little sliver either on that side or that side. So that's a little tip or trick to figure out what length to start with and how wide to make your first piece on this side. It just so happened that we could put a full piece on this side. It worked out great. We just didn't start laying flooring and hope that it ended that well. We actually did the math to actually see where it ends up and made sure that we don't end up with a sliver over there. And we do the same thing for this way as well. Another quick tip is, as these guys are cutting, I have the cut man organize each cut. So if he starts with a piece, he cuts, now that one side of the board is ruined in the waste, it has to now become a finishing piece. So we have our finishing and starting piece. Some people like to lay in patterns. For instance, they'll run a full one, half, full, half, full, half, full, half. What I like doing is random. We try to make sure that none of our seams are repeating over and over and over again. It kind of gives it that look that it is like a wood floor, even though it's LVP. Also too, one of our rules is we want to stay a minimum of 6 inches away from back-to-back seams. So we're 8 inches. This one's hugging it a little tight to what we would normally want, but we don't want any seams within 6 inches of one another. But other than that, that's kind of some of the tips that I have for this kind of flooring. We're going to keep installing it, and if some other stuff comes up, we'll mention it. But as of right now, it's starting to look great. I love this stuff. Super easy, durable, and what's nice is say if anything gets damaged, we always save a box or two, so then we can click it out and then put new back in if something does happen. And also, this stuff isn't glued or nailed down, it's a floating floor. Oh, another tip, since it does float and expands and contracts, you want to leave about a 1/4 inch gap along all your walls and anywhere where it touches something, even the cabinets, for expansion and contraction. Like I was telling the guys, say we have 20 pieces here and each piece grows a 16th. So that's 20 16ths. So that would be 1.25 inches over the span of that many pieces. Will it grow that much? Probably not, but just saying it did. We deal more with like decks too, so in other instances, any composite decking, same thing, it grows and shrinks and you have to account for that kind of stuff. So our goal today is, it's not a huge area, it's about 740 square feet. We cleaned the floor We laid this underlayment down. We kind of measured out what we want to do and how we want to go. And our goal today is to have it completely done and have maybe the appliances slid into place, but that's our goal today. And like I said, we're doing LVP throughout the whole entire floor, carpet upstairs, but this is our goal today, is to get this done, which I think looks pretty good. But anyway, that's it. So this is another issue that a lot of people deal with, and we do too. Logan's kind of dealing with it right now. This wall right at the corner bead sticks out further than it does in the center. So these walls sometimes kind of have a little bit of belly to it. So say if Logan was to cut his piece in a direct line, what starts happening is all of a sudden you notice that your pieces aren't clicking in right, something's wrong. It's because it's being strained at some point. So what we did is we snapped a line all the way through exactly, and now we can come and measure the flooring and kind of account for that little bit of a belly in the wall to keep us our 1/4 inch gap. Because like I said, I've ran into it sometimes where you're just going along and this wall isn't completely square with your orientation or your line, which we checked is pretty close, but you can create hinge and pinch points where it makes it really hard to get that flooring in. But that's a tip too. Every now and then it helps snap a line. Also too, we like running a string down once we complete a row every once in a while, just to make sure we're not getting any bellies in our flooring and it's running perfectly straight. So what I'm doing here is we like where this is exactly sitting. And then when we go to beat on the flooring, sometimes this moves. We're putting some temporary screws in as close to the wall as we possibly can, which will be covered by trim. So we know that'll be covered by trim. I come over here with a screw. And it just creates a stop so that when we beat up against it, we're not moving this around anymore. This one's far enough the wall. Got one there. Same thing here. Got a lot of self-leveler right there. And we got, once we go to put the trim in, we'll pull these out. Again, these are just temporary, so while Logan's hitting the flooring in, it's not moving it back and forth as much. That's a little tip too, because sometimes when you start beating on it, since this is a floating floor that's not glued or screwed or down or anything, as you hit it, it moves around slightly. So this is just a little tip for that. So all these floors have different tips and tricks to them. All of them kind of click in a little bit differently. This one, it seems to be, you want to start this edge, slide it till it hits, and then kind of rock it back. Then I got that end in, this end in, and then this gap isn't quite in yet. Kind of put my knee on it, using a beater block. Now that side started. What's that? Thank you. Well, dang it. No, that won't work. That won't work? No.
Is that not it?
No. Son of a biscuit. There it goes. It's better with a rubber mallet, but he's using a rubber mallet now. So if you don't have a rubber mallet, easiest thing to do, take a beater block out of leftover flooring, You can snap it into place and just use a regular hammer. You want to be careful because these edges are fragile and you can chip and break them out. Made a boo-boo. Math was a little bit off, so I had to put a sliver in. I hate doing that. Our baseboard will cover that, but just to make sure that it's not gonna fall apart, I added some super glue to that piece. That's one trick. Well, we thought it was 9 pieces exactly, and it ended up being slightly shorter. So I don't know if this wall's kind of turning a little bit. So we know on the next one, don't start with full exactly. Whoops. $3.30 a square foot. The existing house, the stairs lit right in the middle of the home. And this was a basement below us, which we converted to a crawl space. Perfect world, I'd move this attic access to under the stairs. Just right now, it's just, I don't want to do it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to go down there and cut and hack floor joists at the moment. So I'd rather just replace a few pieces of flooring right now. So what we're going to do is, the plan is I'm leaving the the crawl space access right here in the middle. I know it's right in the middle of the walkway of everything. So we came up with a great genius plan of let's put a rug over it. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna cut the flooring out around. I'm gonna lay the same flooring over top. Try to make my cuts as pretty as I can. I thought about maybe putting Schluter trim up to it, but again, I'm just trying to get me and my wife into this place. So I'm doing whatever I can just to speed this process up, and I'm gonna address this later on. So to keep the flooring on here, I am gonna glue it to just this section, and I'm gonna put maybe a couple handles on it so that we can lift it up out. But in the meantime, to hide it, we're just gonna put a rug over it. Like I said, the main part of the house, the floor and the walkway down to the basement was right in the middle of the home. Maybe during some of the early construction part, I should have moved that over, but I'll take you down there later on. It's a lot going on. It was more nerve-wracking for me to try to cut in an opening to get down into the crawl space than just to leave it right now. But my plan and my intention is to eventually hide it underneath the stairs. Like I said, my wife wants to move in now. So I'm gonna do what I can to get her in here, and I'll try to fix this later. So the distance from that door all the way to that door, wall to wall, was 446 inches. Our boards are 46 and 5/8, so that's 46.625. If I take 446 and divide it by 46.625, I came up with 9.56. That 9.56 is how many pieces it's going to take to get there. So I know at the last point, I'm going to have 0.56 of a piece. So if I times 46.625 times 0.56, that gives me 26. So roughly 26 inches. So if I start with a 25-inch piece here, I'm going to end up with a 1-inch piece down there. So back to our 6-inch method. So 26, I subtract 6 inches, 20, and add 6 inches, 32. And that means that we can't have a board that starts off in between 20 inches and 32. So as long as we don't go near there, we'll be okay. And we won't end up with that little mistake that I had down there with that little shorty. That's kind of my method of doing that. It seems to work out, and then you don't end up with little slivers at the end. You don't have to get your measuring tape out while you're doing this. So I just set the floor where it's gonna go. I come in here, I mark my gap that I want on this side, and I bring it over here, lock it kind of in place where I like it, and then I mark the gap that I want on this side, and then we just connect those two intersecting points, and then all we gotta do is get rid of that corner. Never got to get my tape measure out. Marked it in place, and then I can yell, "Hey Clint! Clint! Can you cut this?" That's how I do that. No, cut mine first. Mine's right there. that corner. Make sense? So the tool that Logan's using, this is Logan, by the way. This is my right-hand man right here. No. Logan's been with me for about 4 years now. This tool, we should probably have more of them while we're on this job, but this is apparently be the only one. This one comes nice because say if I wanted to tap this block over, you can set it on this lip here and hit with your hammer right here, your rubber mallet. And then also too, it comes in handy when, say, you're trying to put stuff in up against the wall. You can slide it in there. Or if we needed to beat the whole row down. And it kind of saves the tongue. And it also has got these soft spots right here so that when you're beating on it, you don't scuff up your floor. But anyway, that's a good tool. 45 and 7/8. Let's slide Isaac out into here. And then I got paper. Let's lay like 2 rows of paper right here, and we can start setting a bunch of our crap on it. No. Nothing, you can pull them out.
And your dad agrees.
That looks perfect. So I was coming in here, I'm like, I'm excited about this. This came in the mail. Zip wall. So it allows us to hang this up on the wall, and then when you pass through it, the magnet's shut. That's cool. Just like dust prevention. We go inside a lot of people's houses and make a lot of dust, and so a lot of what we do is prep and keeping everything clean. And this way, this thing's reusable. We go through so many drop cloths, it's insane. So this is gonna make it quicker. So, from the previous episode, I said that we were working backwards on this, and I like setting these on the floor. I tried to lay a piece of flooring and then build it off of it, and then try to slide it out. Obviously that method didn't work too great, so what I had to do is I had to vibe underneath, use a piece of flooring as a guide, and now it's sliding under. But a little bit of a whoopsie, but we got it. Yeah, take it off. Hook the gas up? No, because we're gonna have to pull it out anyway. Alright, it looks like that bottom shim got moved a little bit. So we pounded that shim in, everything seems to be level, perfectly level there. We're running level front to back now as well, so we're good there. This is just slightly out of level, so that's kind of what the issue is. So I think I'm going to try to push in on this cabinet just a little bit and try to sink the cabinet through. So we're trying to slide this in. It was pretty tight. I guess I should have checked a little bit, but these legs were already kind of adjusted. If you look at the level, the oven is about, I'd say, a 1/4 inch out of level. So they have these adjustable feet. Luckily, I took this bottom drawer out, and you can adjust the back feet from the front. A lot of times what you gotta do is gotta yank the whole thing out, so you can adjust the feet and try to guess and slide it back in, but I can reach in underneath and adjust this the way I need to. So that way I gotta lift these 2 legs up, and then this way it looks like I gotta lift the back legs slightly higher to get it level. But I wish I had like a square. You want to read that level on the front and tell me if it's getting closer? Alright, that left leg can't come down anymore, so I gotta raise. some of these are different, the way that they level. I'm hoping this one. Okay, yay! So this one you have to adjust the feet at the front, but you don't have to adjust the feet at the back because they got a screw now where you can raise and lower the foot from here. So this whole thing's got to go way up, like that, about there. I need those dogs. Hold it up for me. I want to be almost. How close? On what side? Alright, I gotta lower those legs. Tell me when we gotta be about an eighth. Under. Am I going the wrong way? There we go. Good that way. Good that way. And then we're not going to mount it just yet because the plumber and the electrician got to do their thing behind, so it's going to have to be moved in and out a few times, but at least that's as close. When we go to install it, we can just slide it in and mount it. Look at that, Logan. You doubted. So last we left off with, we were doing the fridge garage, that's what I call it, and hand making our own. That's kind of what it turned out. We did end up with a little bit of a gap in between here. I thought that these stuck up a little bit higher, so we're going to put a piece of filler in there kind of just to hide it. But for the most part, I'm super happy with how it turned out. I was concerned that this kind of corner would end up being congested, but it's really not bad. I'm happy with it. It's the best I could do in this spot, but everything else turned out great. Started getting all the holes on everything. Logan went around and put the filler up top, and we still have to put a crown up top. So next steps in this room is countertop. So once we get the countertop in, we can do the backsplash. It's also the crown. But other than that, that's pretty much it in this area. It looks pretty great to me so far. I loved how it turned out. We do have to do toe kick. We are going to put a skin on this side of the cabinet and a skin that wraps around the back. So we got final electrical, final plumbing, backsplash, trim, and I think I said countertops in there. But for the most part, I'm super stoked with how it turned out. And again, these are all Project Source cabinets. They're your in-stock, off-the-shelf cabinet you can get from Lowe's. The flooring is Pergo, which is an in-stock brand at Lowe's. So everything here was done on a budget. So we're trying to stay within these confines of making something nice with an in-stock, off-the-shelf cabinet. I loved how these new appliances turned out. Same thing, I got these from Lowe's off of a they're having like an appliance sale. It was like 15% off LG stuff, so I bought these almost a year ago when that kind of came out. So finally, so nice to see them in place. I think this place is really starting to turn out great. We'd love you if you could follow us, subscribe if you like watching stuff like this. We're super excited because we got much more projects coming forward. Things that are, not your off-the-shelf kind of stuff. We got multiple home builds going on as well right now, which are very upper end that are really cool. And we're so stoked to show you guys what we're doing there versus kind of some of this stuff here at my own personal place. But this is fun too. And this is what we do. We love doing it. We love building. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.